Gorgoroth is one of the most infamous black metal bands, and they were once the most hated band in Norway. They terrorized the world in the 90s and the 2000s, so today we're going to get into the crimes and the controversies surrounding Gorgoroth. So Gorgoroth is a Norwegian black metal band that was founded in 1992 by the guitarist Infernus. Gorgoroth is a satanic band whose themes center around Satanism, satanic lyrics, satanic themes, satanic imagery, satanic ideology, and Gorgoroth claims that their goal is to spread the word of Satanism and to incite fear, and then use that fear to create a change within the world. And Gorgoroth has been causing a stir since the very beginning. Their reign of terror started in their early years when they were putting up posters of their band around the town that had satanic symbols on it, and it scared the parents in that town so badly that they were calling the local police over it. Gorgoroth was probably just like, "That's your show!" And then the parents were like, "Oh my god, we're all gonna die!" I don't know, something like that. But yeah, Gorgoroth is not scared to incite a little fear within the people. The most famous and iconic thing that Gorgoroth is known for is their Black Mass concert that they held in Krakow, Poland in 2004. And the thing that makes this performance so crazy are the things that they brought onto the stage. The band had brought severed sheep heads that were impaled on stakes. You know, we got the stage, we got our sheep heads on stakes. You know, can't have a black metal performance without satanic symbols everywhere. You also can't have a black metal performance without 4 real human models being crucified behind you. Yes, Gorgoroth brought 4 real, alive, human models who were just so happened to be naked as well. And these people were crucified on crosses behind them. They had sacks over their head while they were just like, while Gorgoroth was playing. And of course, you can't have a black metal show without 80 liters of sheep's blood. Bottom line is, the show was crazy. And of course, they filmed all of it. And at first, everything was fine and dandy. They held this iconic show, and everyone was going insane. Until the Polish police started investigating them due to allegations of religious offense, which in Poland is a punishable offense. Poland is a very religious country, and having 4 naked, real, human, crucified people behind you is just a big no-no. So the police started to get involved. Thankfully, the band was not charged because they simply were unaware that it was illegal to do that in Poland. So even though they didn't do any jail time, the concert organizer was fined a buttload of money. Gorgoroth was dropped from a tour, and Polish police confiscated the footage of the concert. The concert footage was not released until 2008, 4 years later. But thankfully, we even have the footage in the first place. And of course, this Black Mass performance would go down as one of the most iconic moments in black metal history. However, you can't have a messed up band without some messed up band members. And the 2 most controversial band members of Gorgoroth are, of course, Infernus, the guitar player and the founder of Gorgoroth, and one of the lead vocalists, a man named Gaahl. But first, I want to get started with Infernus. He is a very hated figure in black metal, and before we move forward, I will be talking about SA, so if that is a topic that you are sensitive to, I would just skip to Gaahl's section of the video. So in 2005, Infernus and a friend of his were sentenced to 3 years in prison for, unfortunately, brutally raping a woman, and they did this to her repeatedly after an after party. Infernus was taken to court on charges of kidnapping, rape, and then he also had some minor firearm violations. So Infernus was sentenced 3 years, but then very shortly after that, he would be acquitted of those charges, and he would then have his sentence reduced, and they changed his conviction to gross neglect rape, which somehow only landed him 1 year in prison. And the reason why they reduced his conviction is because he was deemed too intoxicated to understand what was happening around him. And they basically stated that he was completely and totally unaware of his accomplices, you know, the friend that he was with. He was totally unaware of his accomplices' malicious acts, which, in my opinion, that's bullshit. What do you mean you were too intoxicated to be unaware that you were, like, brutally and repeatedly raping a woman? I think that's bullshit. I don't know, even the band was like, boy, what are you doing? And even though Infernus is still currently in the band, there were some troubles in the past where the band was like, yeah, this guy's gotta frickin' go. Of course that didn't happen and he's still in the band, but I'll get to that later. So now that we covered Infernus and why he is such a hated figure, let's move on to Gaahl. Gaahl is a very interesting man and quite honestly is a lot more liked and more respected than Infernus, even though Gaahl's track record is much longer. But Gaahl is a man who has been condemned by the Pope and was once called the most evil man alive. So Gaahl joined Gorgoroth in 1998 as the vocalist, and Gaahl is a very feared figure as well. He has been known to show no mercy to people who criticize or attack him, which brings us to February 2002. Gaahl was taken into custody after brutally beating a man at an after party. There's not much information known about this specific event and what happened, what led up to it, but because of this, he was sentenced to 12 months in prison. And at this point in time, he actually had pre-existing acts of violence on his record, so his sentencing ended up being a lot longer. And then, in 2005, the most unspeakable thing that Gaahl has done happened. In 2005, Gaahl was charged with torture. Gaahl was charged with torture. Torture-like violence. And he ended up torturing a man for hours and hours on end. The victim, who was a 41-year-old man, claimed to have been assaulted, kidnapped, and then beaten brutally. And this all happened at a bar when a fight broke out between the two of them. And Gaahl even claims that he did all of this in self-defense. Of course, Gaahl was attacked first, which is why he then kidnapped him and tortured him for 6 hours. He tied him up and was beating him. I even heard that he was squeezing this man's genitalia, and the edgiest thing about it was he was pouring this man's blood into a cup and then was threatening the man to drink it. And I think some people even say that he threatened the guy that he would drink it, that Gaahl would just drink his blood. But in the trial and in the courtroom, Gaahl claims it was all in self-defense. Even in some interviews with Gaahl was basically insinuating that he saw it as a form of justice. When someone went to go hit him and he went back 10 times harder, Gaahl sees it as him serving justice to these people. And I actually think it's really funny, but it was even said that Gaahl's mother was in the courtroom and she was basically on her son's side, of course. But the funniest thing about it is the way she was trying to justify it. She said, "My son would never drink blood. He's far too picky." And I'm just imagining like this grown man, like this heavy metal ass, black metal ass man at a dinner table refusing to eat vegetables. And his mom is just like, yeah, he didn't do that. He can't even eat a vegetable. Regardless, Gaahl spent 9 months in prison because of the torture-like violence. And the craziest thing is that all while these things were happening with Infernus and Gaahl, Gorgoroth still kept going. You know, there would be times where, you know, one of them was in jail and like they would literally wait for Gaahl to get out of jail to finish recording vocals for their record. You know, it really shows that like these things happening with their band members really did not stop the rest of the band. And then, in January of 2007, Norwegian police started investigating Gaahl. In an interview that Gaahl was in a metal magazine, he basically was stating his support for the church burnings that happened in Norway in the 90s, and saying that it should be done more often. And then, of course, the Norwegian police saw this and were like, "Officer, it's this one." But nothing came out of it. And another thing that is very known about Gaahl is that he is an openly gay man. He was actually given the title, like, Gay Person of the Year in Norway in 2010, I think. It's just funny considering what he's done, but you know, Gay Person of the Year. And Gaahl has been known to hospitalize a man after a man was saying homophobic slurs at him, which, you know, good for Gaahl. And I don't know if this account is related to the 2 previous accounts or if this is someone who's totally different, but bottom line, don't mess with Gaahl, okay? And now we get into some tricky territory. And the next thing I am about to say and about to get into, I don't want anyone to take it and spin it into justifying being homophobic. It has been said that Gaahl is an ephebophile. If you do not know what an ephebophile is, an ephebophile is someone who has a sexual attraction towards teenagers. And again, just because this is one person in one case does not make every gay person like this. But yes, Gaahl has very loosely admitted to being somewhat of an ephebophile. And Gaahl was once even openly in a relationship with a 19-year-old when he was much older. Gaahl has also been spotted with a boy as young as 17 years old, again when Gaahl was much older. And it seems he has a thing for teenage emo boys, which sounds really funny, but at the same time, what? And that brings us to Gorgoroth Now. Gorgoroth is still an active band and they still currently make music, while Infernus, the founder of the band, is still a part of Gorgoroth. Gaahl is not. Today, Gaahl lives somewhat of a quiet life and he has become more reserved, and at one point he was even co-founding like some sort of fashion line, which I think is really funny, but Gaahl has definitely taken a step back. Meanwhile, Infernus is still making music with the band and is still very hated. And as recently as 2 years ago, Infernus was actually attacked at a festival. Infernus actually made a post online saying that he was attacked and hospitalized by someone who he called a fat little insignificant. And yeah, whoever this person was attacked him, and Infernus was then hospitalized. But yes, boys and girls, that is the story of Gorgoroth and the crimes and the controversies. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. My name is Dimitri, and if you liked this video, please give me a like and subscribe to my channel because it helps me out a lot. If you want me to research and do a deep dive on a specific band, let me know down below in the comments. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!